Alright everyone, and we are back. I was told it wasn't necessary for me. Something like that. I still don't understand what he meant by that. But it didn't matter to me as a child. I always thought learning magecraft would bring me that much closer to being like Kiritsugu. I was blessed with neither talent, that is, an abundance of magic circuits within me, nor was generations of magecraft knowledge handed down to me. The magecraft Kiritsugu possessed, the magic crest passed down from the Emiya family, can only be passed on to a blood relative. The magic crest is a proof of one is a mage, rejects not anything blood related. As an adopted son, I could not receive the Emiya family's crest. Then again, since I honestly don't have any idea what the hell a magic crest even is, it doesn't even matter much whether I have one or not. It's just a matter of getting the ability. If I want to be a mage, I just have to learn magecraft that suits the traits that I do have. Magecraft is taken to its extreme, a skill supposedly meant to release magical energy. You could say that magical energy is a life force. Magical energy is separated into two sources, mana, which comes from the world's atmosphere, and odd, which is created within living creatures. Obviously mana, which comes from the world itself, is superior to odd. The sheer power of the world's mana is simply not even comparable to an odd one human can create. No matter the form it takes, magecraft utilizing mana will always surpass anything created from an individual's odd. So a powerful mage is one who excels at drawing magical energy from the world. It's a lot like a filtration system. A mage will use their own body's circuits to draw in mana from outside and convert it into something usable. Mages call the circuits they use to accomplish this magic circuits. This is the inborn talent part. The number of magic circuits one has is determined at the moment of birth. Typically, humans have hardly any magic circuits. They're normally quite rare. That's why mages will spend generations trying to ensure their descendants have a body more suitable for magic. Some families even go as far as to practice selective breeding in order to increase the number of magic circuits in their children. And since I was raised in a normal family, I never had a chance of having much in the way of magic circuits. That left me in only one option. According to Kiritsugu, everyone is well suited to one specific form of magecraft. He also said something about drawing out magical energy based on the person's origin, but I never quite understood that part. What I do understand is that even someone like me can use at least one form of magecraft. If I can do that, then maybe I can be like Kiritsugu. And that's why I've only learned this one magecraft. That was 8 years ago. After a lot of thought, Kiritsugu took me on as his disciple, though he never seemed happy about it.
いいかいしろ、魔術を習うということは常識からかけ離れるということだ。死ぬ時は死に、殺す時は殺す。僕たちの本質は生ではなく死だからね。魔術とは自らを滅ぼす道に他ならない。
I guess I knew no fear as a child. Kiritsugu smiled bitterly, placing a hand at the top of my head as I nodded enthusiastically.
君に教えるのはそういった争いを呼ぶ類のものだ。だから人前で使ってはいけないし、難しいものだから鍛錬を怠ってもいけない。一番大事なことはね、魔術は自分のためじゃなくて他人のためだけに使うということだよ。そうすればシロは魔術使いではあるけど魔術師ではなくなるからね。
I guess Kiritsugu didn't want me to be a mage. But I didn't care about that. I admired Kiritsugu, not mages. As long as I can be a sort of person who lives to help others, like Kiritsugu on that day of the fire and nightmare. I got distracted. I feel the uncomfortable sensation of the iron rod in my backbone moving where it shouldn't. Losing control of my breathing now would be fatal. The pseudo-magic circuits would overwhelm my body and shred it to pieces. And that would be the end of me. Shiro Emiya would simply be a novice who died because he failed at an elementary step. I grit my teeth and try to recover my connection. After pain like walking through a storm of needles, the iron rod finally sinks deep within my body and fuses with me. I've been working on this for a little over an hour. And after all that time, I'm finally able to create one pseudo circuit, a circuit capable of creating magical energy using my own self. All that's left is to allow the magical energy to flow naturally. Shiro Emiya is no mage. He's just a user of magecraft who can only create magical energy within his body and channel it into objects. And that's why I can only do one thing with this magecraft, which is enhancing objects. It's just strengthening magecraft where I apprehend an object structure and channel magical energy to temporarily reinforce its abilities. I hold a broken iron pipe. I pass magical energy through it to execute the most basic magecraft to enhance its durability. Passing magical energy into something other than yourself is like mixing poison. My blood is a far cry from the blood of an iron pipe. Forcing an entirely different sort of blood through an object may well destroy it rather than enhance it. To prevent that from happening, I need to properly understand an object's structure and pass magical energy into it between the small vacant spaces. This may be easy for a skilled mage, but since I have a hard time generating magical energy in the first place, even a task like this is as difficult as shooting an arrow and hitting a target several hundred meters from you. A typical archery target is 28 meters away. So it goes without saying how hard it would be to hit a target at 10 times that distance. My body temperature suddenly plummets. The fiery pillar passing through my backbone disappears and my lungs seize in desperate need of oxygen. My back arches in an effort to keep me from passing out. The iron pipe is unchanged. The magical energy I passed into it appears to have dispersed. What I'm attempting to do is like adding an extra brushwork to a completed work of art. Adding something extra to a completed object raises the risk of compromising the object's integrity. The paintbrush, hoping to improve, may actually devalue the work instead. Which is why, despite its simplicity, strengthening magecraft is so difficult, and not many mages willingly use it. And it's not that I chose this, but it's really all I can do. It'd be much easier if I could make something from shapeless clay, but a substitute that just recreates its form is all show and no substance. Which explains all the junk around. Whenever I feel like strengthening magecraft, I try to make substitute objects to practice and calm down on, but they all end up empty. I can visualize the structure of an object easily, and I can recreate something very similar, but it's hollow, and obviously doesn't function at all. I wipe the sweat off my brow. I realize I'm absolutely dripping with sweat. If this is as bad as I got, I should consider myself lucky. But what happened earlier was really bad. Had I taken even a second longer to recover, my internal organs would probably be mush about now. But nothing comes that easily. At the same time, fear of death will stand in the way of improving my magecraft. Learning magecraft means courting death at every turn. Even rudimentary, everyday magecraft can spin wildly out of control from a single mistake, ending the caster's life.
魔術師にとって一番初めの覚悟とは死を容認することだ。
Kiritsugu always looked sad whenever he brought that up. Maybe it was his way of saying that he didn't want me getting into any of this.
誰かを助けるということは誰かを助けないということ。正義の味方っていうのはとんでもないエゴイストなんだか。
Kiritsugu always said that whatever I mentioned wanting to be like him. I still don't know what he meant by that. All I'm certain of is that I want to save people, to be a hero of justice, like Kiritsugu Emiya.
その割にこんな処方がうまくいかないんだもんな。なんでいざって時に雑念が入るんだ。バカ。
It's not enough for me to just grasp at the object's structure visually. A skilled mage should be able to focus only on the crucial areas and efficiently channel magical energy. My dream is to become a hero of justice. I remember what Fujine mentioned at dinner. I never really thought of that goal as embarrassing or impossible. That Shiro Emiya will succeed Kiritsugu Emiya has already been decided. That's why I've been doing everything I can despite how sorely I lack in experience. I don't know exactly what it means to be a hero of justice, but because I don't know, I've trained myself to be the best of my abilities in hopes I'll be useful to somebody. I haven't taken my eye off that goal these past 5 years, but whenever things go wrong like this, I start to have doubts.
もう点でわからないよ、親父。一体さ、何をすれば正義の味方になれるんだ。
I look up at the sky through a window. It's not just about being good for someone out of the blue. Saving someone and being a hero of justice are two different things. I know that. But what do I have to do to differentiate them? I've yet to understand that crucial concept for the past 5 years. Oh, okay, sure. The first. I awake to darkness. I guess I'm not much for dreaming. Unless something big happens, I always have the same dream anyway. I always envision a sword. I have no idea why, but that's the only thing that pops into my head. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Perhaps this is what defines me as, well, me, as Shiro Emiya. I don't have any dreams of my own. The only things on my mind while I sleep are what others taught me long ago. For example, on how to be a mage. Even if I'm not a full-fledged mage, it's only natural for a mage to be aware of the world they're in. Put simply, a mage is an irregular, an outcast from society. But even outcasts need to band together to survive. My old man told me there's a society of mages called a Mage Association. He also told me I should never get involved with them. The Mage Association is said to conceal the existence of magecraft and manage mages. The Mage Association watches over mages and makes sure their magecraft doesn't affect society. But the strange thing is that they don't really prohibit mages from abusing magecraft either. According to Kiritsugu, the Mage Association is only interested in concealing mystics. Even if, say, a mage carried out an experiment that sacrificed, let's say, a lot of citizens, the association wouldn't punish them. Their priorities are excessively, expressly in preventing the public from becoming aware of magecraft, which does not mean magecraft is completely banned. Honestly, anything goes as long as the truth doesn't come out. At least, that seems to be how that insane bunch conducts themselves. Whatever it is, the Mage Association's surveillance is absolute. Typical magecraft research sacrifices the lives of ordinary humans, which in turn risks revealing the existence of magecraft to the world. As such, the Mage Association doesn't permit research that would harm society. Ultimately, Mages conduct their research in their privacy of their homes, while the world is none the wiser. So, mages sometimes go into hiding to escape the association's scrutiny and oversight. So there may be some mages living in this town and I just don't know it. I also hear Fuyuki's a spiritual hotspot of sorts. That probably means there's some prestigious mage with a storied history living here. They're called second owners, elite mages the association entrusts to watch over territory. Other mages who live in the same area must visit these second owners first to get permission to build their workshops. My old man was an outlaw who cut ties with the association and moved here without the consent of Fuyuki's second owner. So in a way, our family's a bunch of trespassers living in a house without permission from the landlord. Which means the second owner doesn't know that Kiritsugu Emiya was a mage. So I tend to feel like our family's status as mages is kind of unclear. But then my old man, the bona fide mage, died. And even though I'm his disciple and son, I don't know a thing about the Mage Association and have no real knowledge about being a mage. I have a feeling the association would want to dispose of someone like me, but they haven't made any sort of move. Apparently, the Mage Association doesn't have many eyes in Japan, so that's probably why I haven't been found yet. But that doesn't mean I can let my guard down. The eyes of the Mage Association are said to be everywhere, and if someone commits a crime using magecraft, the Church's heretics hunters will make their move. Using magecraft, however half-assed you may be about it, makes you enemies. So with all that in mind, I honestly just want to study being a mage on my own. I wake up as the sunlight starts to pour in through the window. Looks like the sun's just now coming up. It's still dark out. I get up trying not to let the morning cold discourage me and quickly fold up my futon. It's 5:30. I've always been an early riser, no matter how late I go to bed. I might mess up once in a while like yesterday, but that's rare. I let Sakura do all the work yesterday, so it would look kind of bad if I didn't return the favor this morning. I should hurry up and finish making breakfast before Sakura comes. Beat her to the punch. I cook rice and make miso soup. Yesterday the soup had daikon radish and carrots, so I'm making onions and potato miso soup today. I make the egg omelet and use the leftover konnyaku to simmer it with bonito flakes. I make incisions into the sari fish, which would be the main dish, and sprinkle it with a little salt. All I have to do is boil it, but I can wait until the last minute. It's almost 6. I finished earlier than expected, so I have some time on my hands. So what should I do with this extra time? Morning exercise is my daily routine, so I might as well do some light workouts. The hushed atmosphere of an empty dojo encourages one to focus. And in the morning, just as the sun rises, its serenity makes the mood even more sacred, enthralling whoever visits the site. There's only one thing I do here. Ever since my old man died, the dojo has turned into just a gym to train my body. Training to be a mage means I can't neglect training my body. One of those conditions of being a mage is maintaining yourself at your physical peak. When Kiritsugu was still alive, he and I sparred often. Well, more that he just kicked my ass every time, so I never really learned how to win myself. But at least I learned the difference between a fight and a battle. In other words, I learned the difference between killing and beating an opponent, and how to conduct myself in each situation. Knowledge and experience are different. Without the knowledge to know the difference, it's hard to tell if you've gotten yourself into a fight or a massacre. It's as simple as that. Learning magecraft means that there's a risk of perishing on your own, as well as a risk of having to fight. And to mages, that means killing each other. That's why Kiritsugu wanted to teach me that I must always be ready to face death. But the person reminding me of that lesson is long gone. So the only thing I can do alone is some simple exercises.
じゃあまあ本格的にやっておくか。
After I stretch to warm up, I focus my inner strength and begin my exercises. As I train my body, I assess how my magic circuits affect my blood flow, my skeletal frames creaking, the fatigue I feel, and how much that all distracts my thoughts.
120、150、170。
Keep pushing it, man. Even simple push-ups can train my magic circuits as long as I focus on my mental state, rather than putting physical weights on my body. With no proper mentor teaching me magecraft, morning training is no different than what most sports clubs do, and they have become very important for me.
おはようございます先輩。今朝はもう済んでしまいましたか？
ねえ、朝食の支度なら済んでる。あとは食器の支度と魚に火を通すだけ。
あ、それならお手伝いします。食器の支度は任せてください。
Sakura is clearly eager in her reply, and coming in behind the ever-dependable Sakura.
あ、この匂いはシローの卵焼きね。そっか、今朝はシローの朝ごはんなんだ。
Fujine casually heads to the table.
まあ、あれは放っておいて。
I need to grill the prepared fish.
さくら、皿は真ん中のやつ使ってくれ。その方がうまく見えるから。
この表面がブツブツのですか？
そう、それ。焼き物は皿にも気を配らないと手抜かりになるからな。で、大根はもう吸ってあるから。
Sakura reaches far to take out the plates. As she reaches out, I think I see a faint bruise in the back of her hand.
さくら、ちょっと待った。
はい、何ですか先輩？
その手首のあざ、なんだ？
She averts her eyes, looking uneasy. Her reaction makes how she got the bruise clear.
またシンジか。あいつ、妹に手をあげるなんて何考えてやがる。
違います先輩。これは転んでぶつけちゃったんです。ほら、私鈍いでしょ？だからよく転んで怪我ばっかりしてるんです。
バカ、転んだぐらいでそんなあざがつくか。シンジのやつ、どうやらまだ殴られ足りないみたいだな。
ダメです先輩。これ本当に兄さんは関係ないんです。私が一人で怪我をしただけなんですから、先輩に怒ってもらう資格なんてありません。
Sakura falls silent. Sakura may seem docile, but she's surprisingly stubborn. It's no use saying anything to her now.
わかった。さくらがそう言うんならそういうことにしておく。
はい。ごめんなさい、先輩。
だからどうしてそこでさくらが謝るんだ。悪いのはシンジだろ
The moment I say Shinji's name, Sakura awkwardly looks away. It can only mean he's the cause of the bruise on her hand. Shinji Mato has a bad habit of treating his younger sister like crap. I noticed it about a year ago. Every now and then, I'd see Sakura injured, and she's always made excuses when I asked what happened. When I asked Shinji about it, he revealed to my shock that he'd been the one who hit Sakura. 'Cause he's a jackass. I asked why, and he told me it was because she had done something he hadn't liked. I got pretty pissed off, so I did to Shinji what he's done to Sakura. We haven't been on great terms since then.
先輩、兄さんとは仲直りしてくれましたか？
No, because he's a dick.
うん、したよ。別に初めから喧嘩なんてしてないから仲直りも何もないけどな。
Okay, you can tell me that Chiro, but really, he's a dick.
先輩にとってはそうでしょうけど、兄さんにとっては喧嘩をしたことになるんです。だから気をつけてください。
What Sakura says strikes me as odd.
気をつけろってシンジが？
はい、兄さん先輩を目の敵にしてるって聞きました。先輩が退部するようになったのも兄さんのせいだって。
それは違う。部活を辞めたのはシンジとは関係ない。いや、そりゃ多少はあったかもしれないけど、そんなのはさくらが気に病むことじゃないぞ。確かにシンジの言う通りちょっと見苦しいからな、これは。
I pointed my left shoulder. There's a little scar there. It happened about a year and a half ago. Something fell on me during one of my jobs, injuring my left shoulder. I ended up with just a broken bone, but I also came away with a burn to my shoulder. After the accident, I quit the Kyoto Club. After school's Kyoto Club, out of respect for formalities, allows students to perform sacred shooting rituals. Male students participating in this expose their left shoulder. Shinji pointed out that it may be disrespectful for someone performing a sacred shot to expose a scar. And since I was getting busy with my various jobs, I decided to quit the club.
先輩、しつこいようですけど、本当にもう弓は引かないんですか？藤村先生も怪我なんて支障はないって言ってるのに。
何を平和な。藤姉は全身骨折しようが支障ないっていうやつだぞ、さくら。
先輩、私真面目な話をしているんです。
I know I should give her a serious answer, but unfortunately I can't give Sakura the answer she's looking for.
当分は部活をしている余裕はないよ。弓は好きだけど優先するべきことじゃないし、しばらくは間を取ろうと思う。
しばらくってどのくらいですか？
気が向いた頃かな。さくらが卒業するぐらいまでにはなんとか。その時はよろしくな、さくら。
I patched Sakura's shoulder.
私、その時をお待ちしています。
She nods so violently it looks like she might drop the plates. It's almost 7:30. Sakura and Fujine have long since left the house for their morning club activities. I went to school early yesterday because Issei asked me to, but I leave the house at the usual time today. I noticed something strange as I walked down the hill towards the intersection. Several police cars are parked in front of a house. Something must have happened since a crowd has gathered. There are easily 20 people watching. I'm curious, but the mass of people prevents me from finding out what's happening. I don't have much time, so I should hurry to school. I make it to school 10 minutes before the first bell. As I cross through the gate with plenty of time as usual.
Yeah, おはよう、エミヤ。
Mitsuzuri. I run into a familiar student.
なんだ、まだ着替えてないのか、三つ釣り。もうすぐホームルームだぞ。俺に挨拶なんかしてる場合じゃないだろ
う。いや、ごもっとも。相変わらず釣れない野郎だね、エミヤは。
I don't know what's so funny, but she laughs heartily, not caring about her surroundings. This is Ayako Mitsuzuri. She's been a classmate of mine since we were first years, and she's currently the captain of the Kyoto Club. You know, I know already because Rin introduced her to us already, so you're behind on that. But it's okay, you don't know this. She's an unbelievably insightful person, and it was expected that she would be the team's next captain since her first year with them. Mitsuzuri is a precocious sword, and people have always had high hopes for her, and even leaned on her ever since she was her first year. Then again, she gets mad whenever someone mentions that in front of her, claiming she doesn't look as old as people think.
ああ、今あんたよからぬ感想を漏らさなかったかもし。
そんなものは漏らさない。あくまで客観的な事実を連想しただけだ。それで気を悪くするのは三綴りの勝手だが。
お、言うじゃん。いいね。正直に答えるくせに何をどう考えてたかは口にしないんだもの。エミヤ、シンジと違って隙がないな。
シンジ？なんでそこにシンジが出てくるんだ？
なんでも何も、あんたとシンジって友人じゃない。
I wouldn't go that far.